Glendale Commission on the Status of Women. Tonight's meeting will be adjourned in the honor and memory of Hermine Berjikian, the mother of former Commissioner Elizabeth Manasarian. Roll call, please.
Vice Chair Burns.
Present.
Commissioner Devine.
Here.
Commissioner Garsavanian. Ex officio Jabourian.
Present.
Commissioner Tashjian.
Present.
Ex officio Yegiayan.
Here.
Chair Miller.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Baboumian. Next item on the agenda, please.
At 1A is the report regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for the September 10, 2012 meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside of City Hall on or before September 7, 2012. At 2, we have introductions and presentations. And at A is the introduction of the new student ex officios whose term started this month in September, Sareen Jabourian and Amy Yegiayan.
Welcome.
At this time, if ex officio Jabourian and Ms. Yegiayan have like to introduce themselves to the commission and to our viewing audience.
Hello, I'm Sareen Jabourian. I'm currently a senior at Glendale High School, and my goal for the commission is to show women that we are all equal, just as men, and that we can do anything that we put our minds to.
Hello, I am Amy Yegiayan, and I'm a freshman at GCC, and I hope to bring technology and engineering to young women.
Thank you. Ms. Baboumian, next item on the agenda.
Sure. At B is aging and healthcare costs is the topic for the presentation this month. And we have Suzanne Slaughter, RFC, LUTCF, here to present on this topic. Ms. Slaughter, after establishing herself with a well-respected marketing and design firm, pursued a career in the insurance and financial industry, where she now has over 15 years' experience and uses her industry knowledge to help her surrounding community. Ms. Slaughter is committed to sharing her expertise with other women. She hosts seminars and informal talks to help women of all walks of life become financially secure. She is the co-founder of Aster, which is assisting seniors through enhanced resources, a project to enhance senior financial independence. She partnered with State Senator Carol Liu and the Commission on the Status of Women last fall to teach a workshop in the Money Matters to Women Financial Literacy series, and she was recently honored by the Commission as a 2012 Jewels of Glendale Woman of Courage. So I'd like to welcome Ms. Slaughter here today.
First of all, I want to say a special thank you to the Commission for having me here today. I appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully some of the information that I give you will be very helpful and go a long way for some of our wonderful women in Glendale for their financial and physical independence, which we're going to talk about today. First of all, I want to let you know I am not an attorney. I am not a CPA or a tax advisor. I am not a health care provider. But what I am is a financial advisor that works very closely with these professionals as a team. I believe that everyone should have a plan, and they should have a team to help them cooperate that plan in their lives. We all need that plan. First of all, when I think of aging, I think the first thing I think about is my looks. You know, I look in the mirror and I see, that I'm getting a little saggy here and I'm getting some wrinkles around my eyes, and, I really don't like it. I look at some of the other things that are happening, like my body is becoming very crotchety at times, and when I get out of bed, I can hardly walk at that time, and I probably look a little bit like I'm wearing Camilla's wedding hat or Medusa or something. So all of these things are a little bit hard to take. We also find that there are things happening with our bodies and with our memory, that seem to be going. These are really hard things to take, and things that I think about often when I think about aging. But I also think that there are some good things about aging. In aging, we have a better perspective of our lives and the world. We have more wisdom. We have more self-confidence, and that helps us to maybe laugh at ourselves and not take ourselves quite so seriously. Many of us at this time are caring for elderly parents, and maybe at the same time, which I am, I'm caring for my elderly mother who is in assisted living and have been for over 6 years. At the same time, some of us may have adult children at home still because this is a very difficult time for people. And on the other hand, there may be people who don't have anyone. No mother, no father, no children, no husband. They're all alone. So we all have our issues. And the important thing that we all have to remember is to make a plan, to make a contingency plan. It's important for us to take care of ourselves and to be in control of ourselves. Take care of our physical health. Maybe we need to eat better. We need to get plenty of sleep. We need to have some exercise and good healthy activities. Needs to keep our minds going. We need to stay active because statistics show that people who are active do live longer and have more quality in their lives. But what we need to do the most is to plan for those things that we don't see. We can take care of all of these things in our lives, but maybe we're going to have a physical illness. Maybe we're going to have a stroke. Maybe we're not going to be able to take care of ourselves. These are the things that I feel should be of most concern to women, that they should make a plan so they will have the maximum amount of choices, because the one thing we lose is control and our choices. If we lose control of our bodies, our choices are limited. So this is the one thing that I feel is the most important for people. I can't tell you all the ins and outs of the new health care reform, but I did bring along a handout for you to look at from the Society of Certified Senior Advisors that will help to better explain what some of the changes are and what some of the differences are. But the point is, this could change again. So we can't make a plan just based on what the laws are today, because those should change and probably will change. So we have to have the maximum amount of planning and choices that we can possibly have. I know that one of the things that happens to us as we age is, and probably one of the most prominent things, is that we lose our hearing. Hearing is so very important. And I see somebody smiling about losing hearing. Hearing is very, very important. And a person who can't hear often feels kind of out of it. They feel like they aren't a part of the world, and that creates a little bit more dementia for them. It's very, very difficult. And the one thing that I find is to be proactive with hearing. It's very, very good. That straining the ears, and you think, oh, I'm not ready for anything yet, straining the ears can actually be more harmful. So these are the kinds of things we know that we can be proactive about. Now, I know my mom can't hear at all. I mean, she's just cannot hear. She can read my lips a little bit, but I have a CapTel phone for her, so when I call her, she can read the screen. She can read what I'm saying if she remembers to read it. Because she'll call me and ask me a question, and she'll go, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. And I'll say, Mom, read the screen. My hearing's really bad today, and I can't hear you. What'd you say? Mom, read the screen. So finally, if I get through to her, she'll remember to read the screen, and very often if she hangs up, then she'll look at the screen. So it's really, really hard. Another issue that we have is keeping our home safe. I know that there are resources that we have here. We can have people come into your home, look at your home, and maybe make suggestions on how you might be able to be a little bit more safe. One of the things that probably is one of the biggest issues that we have is long-term care. What what's long-term care. I do have another handout there for you about long-term care. Long-term care is when you need somebody to help you with your activities of daily living. Does Medicare pay for your long-term care? Who pays for it? We do. If you're in a hospital for 3 days and you're transitioned to a nursing home, Medicare may pay for part of it up to 100 days or until they feel that you should go home or that you are not getting any better. You can't be rehabilitated. So if you have that stroke and they've done what they can do, then you go home and you're on your own. That's it. So I am encouraging everyone to have a plan for your care. Just like you have health insurance, just like you have home insurance, car insurance, you are so much more likely to need some kind of long-term care insurance or some kind of long-term care plan than any of home insurance or car insurance. This is something that's really important. And it's not only insurance, there are other vehicles, and there's always the option of paying yourself. But you need to set that money aside and know this is for my long-term care. Because the choice is that most of us want to be at home, in our own home, to be able to be taken care of. But that may not be possible. And to get on SSI, or what we call Medi-Cal here, you pretty much have to be impoverished. So this is something that I urge everyone to do. And I do have some other handouts in the back, some handouts from the Society, the California Department of the Aging, and I have some other things from the Society of Senior Advisors. They're just resources for you, numbers to call, websites to visit that maybe you can get your questions answered. Are anybody here taking care of an elderly parent or loved one? Yeah, somebody has, so they know what it is to have that. In the state of California, the average nursing home care cost is $250 a day. And it's more, many, many times. So this is something that can totally bankrupt you if you're not prepared. So in saying that, I hope everyone will take some time to think about their situation, think about what they need to do, what they need to plan, look at what the options are, and stay well, and stay as wonderful as you are. Do we have any questions? Great. Oh, okay.
I do agree with you, Suzanne. Working with you in the senior environment, it is very clear that seniors of today are not going to age like they have in the past. And I think that much we know in terms of going forward. So really seeking out this type of information is very important, both not only to the senior but to their family and their adult children. I encourage our community children who are 45 and 50 to not only be thinking about their parents and going with them to these types of seminars, but also looking into them for themselves. I noticed in one of your handouts, that's one comment, and then here followed up by the question. I noticed in one of your handouts that regarding the long-term care, it appears that it says that although it became effective on January 1st, 2011, that there are some very specific details that we may look forward to in October 2012. Is that happening?
I don't know the answer to that, but I can find out. I can find out for you. And you are very right, because as we all know, women live longer than do men. And study shows that in women who are are adults who are in their 90s. The women are 3 to 1 as far as needing some kind of care. I think this is because many times we marry a man that's older. My husband says they die first because they want to.
Well, the other option for our viewing public is to go ahead and look at the website for class, CLASS, and then it would probably outline any of these changes that are coming up. But I did want to
Absolutely.
highlight that for the public because of the long-term care and knowing that this date is upon us.
Right, and it says 2011.
It started in 2012. They're going to
2012,
they're going
okay.
to present October. They're going to present the details, and that was new to me too until your presentation.
Yeah.
But that's something we should all pay attention to.
Great, thank you. I'll find out.
Thank you.
Chair, do you have extra copies of these packets that perhaps we can keep
Yes.
in the office? And if anyone
Yes.
in the public that's watching that would like a copy can call Ms. Baboumian and maybe come and pick one up, because I think they might be valuable.
Yes, and the Department of the Aging has a wonderful booklet outlining what long-term care is and what it is in California and how much it's been and the history and just all of that information that you can have and what the choices are for the care.
Could you actually identify that website for the Department of Aging? Because I do know, or tell me where it's at on
I
the...
have a handout in the back, actually, that is the website.
Because the Department of Aging does have right on their website a number of things you can just download.
Absolutely.
And create yourself.
Absolutely, and that's where I got some of this information. And it's actually in your handout, I have some phone numbers you can call too, because there are a lot of people who don't have the internet. But it's a great resource for you.
I'll look for that and have it by the end of the...
I have it right in the back.
Great.
I just didn't pass it out to
Do you
everyone.
have it, Ms. Baboumian?
The Department of Aging is www.aging.ca.gov. And there's a handout titled Where to Get Your Medicare Questions Answered. It's a separate handout that was provided. And if anyone from the viewing public would like copies of any of this, staff would be happy to provide them upon request.
Can you show that handout? Yeah, I don't...
You don't have it
Either.
because it's in the back.
Got it. Okay.
No? Okay.
Great. Thank you again.
Welcome. Thank
for this
you.
timely and very important topic. Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, please.
At 3 is oral comment. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Time is limited to an amount to be set by the chair. The commission may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or discussion. Staff may refer the matter to the proper department for investigation and report.
Thank you. We have two speakers. Our first speaker is Mona Marcos, and she's here from the Women's Divorce Resource.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and honor to be here tonight to address the Commission. My name is Mona Marcos, and I'm representing a nonprofit in the community called Women's Divorce Resource. Basically, what we are a nonprofit made of professionals in different areas, just as the opposite of what the previous speaker spoke about planning. Changing in social status from being married to being divorced or a widow or single is not something you plan for usually, because you really don't want to be there. So it's not a time where you open a yellow page and look for an attorney and advisors, etc. You want to be able to be personally referred or know somebody that you can trust that will lead you down that path. So that's what we are, and we're trying to develop basically a strategic alliance with the Commission, so that at least since you are the vocal, one of the strong vocal voices of women in the community, to let them know about this resource, and we want to be able to support the commissions in whatever events, fundraising, etc., and have a collaborative working relationship, just so that the community knows where to go, the ladies or the women know where to go if they need those services. So we have a website, and we have, obviously business cards. We try not to have too much marketing material because everybody knows go to the website. So just wanted to know what would be the best way to spread the word. It's not something, obviously, you not work about but we just wanted to make sure you knew about and we'd love to invite any of you to visit our meeting. We meet actually tomorrow morning at 8:30 for an hour, the first Tuesday of each month, for an hour, just to network and be able to let the word out and invite guest speakers and anybody who'd like to join, obviously. So I don't know if you have any questions for me or...
Thank you, Ms. Marcos, for inviting us to that meeting. Also, one of the things you may want to pay attention to is our October calendar. Our calendar of events, as you know, further on down within the report, we'll be discussing domestic violence, and there's a number of events that you may want to take back to your group.
Absolutely.
I'm also aware that Commissioner Devine has attended a meeting.
I have.
Would you like to add anything?
I did announce last month about your group, and one of the questions that came back to me was the support, the site, the references that you make, are they free to the women that go to your website?
Yes.
So if someone goes and they need an accountant, or they need a psychologist or a life coach, which you have a fabulous one on your website, that would be, those programs are free to the women?
All of them offer at least an hour of free consultation, and then, of course, they would have to discuss beyond that their services. Nothing is totally free, but there's definitely discounted, and there is a scale depending on the women's situation, et cetera. But so some are free services, but definitely a free consultation at the very least.
That's terrific, Mona.
And we try to also...
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Did you give your website and all of your information so that the people...
Our website is womensdivorceresources.org, women's plural, divorce single, and resource single. So it's just womensdivorceresource.org. And our phone number is 818-396-6590. And we try to post events that in the community as well for the women, to not just about our event, but the community events for any women that might need on our website as well. So,
Any other questions, Commissioners?
Yes, thank you very much. Very briefly. Just out of curiosity, is your resource organization just devoted to divorces, or does it involve paternities or paternity-related matters?
any single woman that needs help, we'd like to be able to be a resource for them. And I say single because that means they are the decision maker and they don't have, a partner that's involving their decision. But any woman that needs help, will be happy to help them out.
But what are the services you provide? I mean, I guess what I'm trying to find out is, is it related to divorces, or is it related to something that's related to divorces? Does it involve psychologists, psychiatrists, child custody evaluations? Does it involve support issues?
All of the above. We try to be, yes, a one-stop resource, and if we don't have it, our job is to find it for them. So we're trying to be a one-stop shop so they don't have to go to 5 different or 10 different organizations to get the service they need. So if they need something that we don't have, we're certainly at a very early stage, so we're in the development process, and that's why we're trying to get the word out, and we're trying to invite other professionals to join us so that we have all the resources under one umbrella.
Thank you.
And again, as Ms. Marcos stated, they do have a meeting tomorrow in case anyone is interested.
Yes, we meet in Glendale at 330 North Brand Boulevard, Suite 200, the first Tuesday of each month at 8:30. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Our second card is from Carmen Labaradian, who is from the Armenian Relief Society. Carmen.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to represent our organization here. Madam Chair, thank you. And okay, it works. And commissioners and the rest of your staff, thank you. Okay, I'm going to be reading something that I had already prepared, but after I'm done, if you'd like to ask me questions, we also have Mrs. Sinzaya from our social services that can answer anything you want regarding social services, okay? Okay, my name is Carmen Liberating, as you know, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Armenian Relief Society of the Western USA, located here in Glendale, California. As you know, we are a 102-year-old philanthropic non-governmental organization that services the social and educational needs of the communities at large, specifically women and children in need. On the Western region level, we have 27 chapters, throughout the region, totaling 1,380 members. Our regional board was delighted to meet the commission chair, Ms. Miller, as well as Ms. Devine and Linda Burns at our center recently, where we discussed our collaboration and partnership efforts. We also are happy to report that we want to partner with the Commission in organizing the Loves Me, Loves Me Not presentation in October at the Glendale Library. We would like to explore the possibility of inviting an Armenian-speaking therapist also to participate in the Q&A. For fiscal year 2012-2013, our calendar is really busy with events that involve the Glendale community. Key projects for this upcoming year include our second annual Christmas luncheon hosted by the ARS at Glendale Salvation Army on Friday, December 21st. Next, around the holiday season, we'll be collecting holiday gifts on a large scale to be distributed to children throughout the community. We urge individuals to send their unwrapped gifts to our center located at 517 West Glen Oaks Boulevard, a block west of Pacific Avenue. As in 2011, we invite you all to attend our Winter Wonderland on January 18th and 19th. This is where the ARS brings snow to the city of Glendale. Our two-day festival attracted approximately 8,000 members of the Glendale community and the surrounding cities. They enjoyed riding the real snow, our great food, games, and other rides. And lastly for today, I wanted to tell you a bit about our involvement with the 2013 LA Marathon. The ARS has been involved in the 5K for 12 years. Last year was our first involvement in the 26-mile marathon and 13-mile half marathon. The marathon's new motto as of this year is Run for a Cause. There are many of you in the Glendale community who pay your entrance fees and run. This year, Run for a Cause. We, the ARS, are one of the 2013 LA Marathon official charities, and we run against domestic violence. Please run with us. Find us on the LA Marathon website, or please contact our office if you'd like to participate in the LA Marathon 5K, 13-mile half marathon, or 26.2-mile marathon, and help us raise funds for a great cause, the victims of domestic violence. For more information on all of our events, please call 818-500-1343 or come and visit us at 517 West Glen Oaks Boulevard. Or you could look us up on the web at arswestusa.org. Thank you very much, and we look forward to collaborating with the Commission on existing new projects to better serve our community.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Could you repeat your website one more time?
Sure. ARS, let's see, hold on here. Let me not get it wrong. arswestusa.org.
And your phone?
818-500-1343.
For those of us that are old school.
Yeah.
Those of us that are old.
Well, my area code is 323, so.
Does any other commission have a question? Commissioner have a question for the speaker?
We just want people to call and participate. Even if you're registered already, well, you can't be, but if you register under your own name, you can still change and come and run for us. You don't have to pay anything extra. And that will be good for us, and whatever monies we raise, it'll go towards ladies who are suffering from domestic violence.
What's the date of the marathon?
The date is, the 5K is on the 16th of March, and the 13 and 26 marathon is on the 17th of March. But people who run know this. So just call us and come and register. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Seeing that there are no other cards or other speakers at this time, we are going to go on to the next item on the agenda, please.
At 4 is consent items. A is approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting held on August 13, 2012.
Are there any changes that the commission would like to make to the minutes, or do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I so move.
Second.
Roll call, please. Are we all unanimous, or do we need a roll call? We're unanimous. Great.
Perfect.
Next item, please.
At 5 is business agenda A action items. At 1 is an update regarding the Domestic Violence Awareness Month, also known as DVAM activities. And at A is a motion providing direction regarding DVAM activities. Chair Miller, would you like a brief report?
We would like a brief report. Thank you.
Chair Miller, members of the Commission, at the last meeting, the Commission considered possible events for the upcoming DVAM activities for the month of October. The first event that was discussed was the proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Glendale, and at this point the Commission has put in a request for a proclamation from the Mayor and City Council to designate October 2012 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Glendale. And staff is currently in the process of firming up Tuesday, October 2nd as the date of that proclamation, and will provide further information, but that should be the date. Traditionally, the Chair accepts this resolution on behalf of the Commission, and all available Commissioners have also been present to receive the proclamation from the Mayor, and also to inform City Council and members of the public about the upcoming DVAM activities. Also discussed last month and approved by the Commission was the Candlelight Vigil. And at this time, staff is moving forward in working with the YWCA of Glendale to present the annual Candlelight Vigil. The vigil is scheduled to take place Thursday, October 18th from 6 to 7 p.m. in the ballroom of the YWCA located at 735 East Lexington Avenue in Glendale. Speakers at the vigil will include a victim of domestic violence and representatives from the following organizations: the Glendale YWCA, the Commission on the Status of Women, and the Glendale Police Department. Also discussed last month at the meeting was a film screening, and as our representative from the Armenian Relief Society indicated, the ARS is interested in working with the Commission on presenting the Loves Me, Loves Me Not film screening at the Glendale Central Library. I believe direction was received by the Commission last month to explore that. At this time, staff has put a hold on Thursday, October 25 at 6 p.m. To utilize the Glendale Central Library auditorium for that film screening. Requests have been made to tentative speakers who can help provide the Q&A, and if the Commission chooses to move forward and work on this project and work with the ARS, we can definitely collaborate to firm up exactly who those speakers will be, what organizations they can be represented from. And last but not least, the Commission also discussed the possibility of producing teen dating violence palm cards to distribute to high school students in the city of Glendale and students attending the Glendale Unified School District High School. As reported last month, the design for the palm cards designed by Break the Cycle have been changed, and in Exhibit 1 of your report is that palm card, which is also here on the screen for you. It's been changed slightly. The colors are the same. The information is essentially the same, except part of the loveisrespect.org campaign includes Love is Listening. The cost to lease the artwork from Break the Cycle to use this, to go ahead and print these, is $125. That hasn't changed from the last quote they provided us. And their graphic artist can make room to include the Commission's name when they give it to us, and our graphic artist can also do that as well. And also included in your reports is the palm card that the Commission considered last year that was designed by the Commission and our graphic staff, and that is in Exhibit 2 of your report, which is also here on the screen. Essentially, it is, we do refer people back to Break the Cycle, who is the main organization, but it's just a different design. So the Exhibit 1, the Break the Cycle artwork, would consist of a $125 lease to print them, regardless of which design the Commission goes with. If we choose to go with the palm cards, there will be a cost to print 10,000 double-sided color palm cards that will not exceed $400. That concludes staff report, and staff respectfully recommends that the Commission provide any further direction. And also, as noted, the Armenian Relief Society is here to answer any questions if the Commission has about the collaboration on the film screening.
Thank you, Ms. Baboumian. Before we move on to discussion, Commissioners, I'd like to just narrow our focus if we could, given that last month we already addressed the proclamation and made the decision. The candlelight vigil, we have decided on the date. The programming is, our collaboration with the YWC is well into effect. And so if we could narrow our discussion, unless there's anything we missed, if we could really narrow it down to the screening on the 25th, as well as the bookmark, that would probably be the best use of all of our time. With that said, is there any discussion?
Bookmark, I believe it was palm card.
Palm card, bookmark,
Not the same thing.
are they the same thing, Ms. Baboumian? They say,
The size is different. The palm card, Chair Miller, is a little bit larger than a business card.
so for the purposes of our discussion, it does say one thing in our, just to get on the same page, what would you like it to be?
Palm card.
Got it.
They're referred to as palm cards.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, discussion on the filming on the 25th at 6 p.m. at the Glendale Central Library. We would actually be showing the film, Loves Me, Loves Me Not, and we would have a panel of speakers afterwards. Is there any discussion on that, or do we want to move forward with a motion to proceed?
Very briefly, what is the YWCA's involvement and the Seroptimist involvement, and what would be the involvement of ARS if we do decide to cooperate with them, and hopefully we will, in the film screening?
Okay. Commissioner Tash and members of the Commission, the involvement of the YWCA and Glendale Seroptimist was just to, we shared the cost of acquiring the film. At this point, the film screening, the direction received by the Commission last month was for the Commission to independently look at having this film screening, and also in talking to the Armenian Relief Society. They are interested in partnering. So it would be the Commission and the Armenian Relief Society, should the Commission choose to go in that direction.
Okay, and so what would the Armenian Relief Society involvement be with us in Loves Me Not screening? Maybe somebody in the audience who, perhaps you could be able to address that.
I can answer part of the
Sure,
Commissioner,
please, go ahead.
if I may, and Ms. Libradian is also welcome to come up and fill in any gaps. Both names would be on the event. They would help bring people to the event, and also, as expressed by their board member, they would also like to be able to bring in an Armenian-speaking psychologist, probably to answer questions, and I don't want to speak on the ARS's behalf, but to help answer any questions and provide a cultural perspective and domestic violence in the Armenian community.
Perhaps also my understanding, we would like to invite you to the podium, either one or both of you. My understanding as well is that perhaps you might want someone from the Armenian community who would be involved in the panel as well.
Yes, that's what.
Okay, so why don't you tell all the commissioners?
No, that's exactly it. I don't think we had anything else in mind, except that if you needed anything from us to help you with people in the audience to come, and we would do a good work with that. And if we needed to share in some costs, I suppose we could do that as well, just like the other organizations that are involved. And maybe if you needed to put cookies out or something like that, we're all volunteers, so whatever it is you might need.
Well, I did see the cookies you put out at the Armenian Relief Society, so I'm well aware of.
I knew that would do it.
I'm well aware of what you provide. But that being said, and back to some seriousness, so do we need a motion here in terms of the involvement? Thank you.
I'd like to ask,
do you have questions?
did you see the film?
No, I haven't seen
it.
the film, no.
Have you seen it? When are you going to see it?
That's next week sometime.
So you will be viewing before,
Right, before,
the date that
yeah.
we're looking at now.
It's a fairly graphic film, as I'm sure you've been told, as well as by your chairperson. So it's something that we want to, when we reach out to your community, really want to be sensitive and aware of that, and really look to your guidance to tell us best what we should do specifically.
Yeah, we were told already, so what to expect.
If you were told what to expect, though, I think, are you coming back? Or is there going to be any comeback to us or Ms. Babumian regarding how you're feeling about it after you've seen?
No, because people who saw it were the ones that I'm representing already. People have seen it, so yes.
Okay.
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Okay. So we need a motion for October 25th, Glendale Central Library, that includes within that motion the involvement of the Armenian Relief Society. Do we have that?
I'll make the motion that the Armenian Relief Society become involved, partner with us in the film screening of Loves Me, Loves Me Not. Is there another motion?
Second?
And that the date would be on October 25th at the auditorium of the library?
That's correct.
October 25th, Glendale Library. Do I have a second? Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Do we have unanimous on this? Are we unanimous? Okay. Roll call's not necessary.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to our speakers from the Armenian Relief Society. Now, moving on to discussion about the palm card. In terms of the direction, just to clarify, Ms. Babumian, is your direction that you're asking from us specific to design
Yes.
or use of them all together?
Exactly, Chair Miller, members of the commission. It's a use of palm cards altogether. If the commission would like to distribute these palm cards as a part of the Domestic Violence Awareness Month activities to high school students in the city of Glendale. And if the answer to that is yes, if the commission so desires, which design would the commission be interested in utilizing?
Where is the Loves Me, Loves Me Not in terms of release of their new graphics? Where are they? Last month?
This is their new graphic. Last year, the graphic that was provided was a large heart, and it consisted of teens holding up these little talk bubbles, and it was a little collage of these talk bubbles all together in the shape of a heart. This looks like they just pulled one and are focusing on one of the talk bubbles as opposed to a collage of talk bubbles. And they're, I guess, pointing to the love is listening. That's what they're pushing.
Commissioner Devine?
In choosing which one we like, I would like to suggest that we go to our new ex officios and get their ideas on which one they like, which one they think their fellow students would like, especially Serene's, and exactly what you think of both.
That's a great idea. Have you had a chance to look at them? We are eager to always get our student input.
I personally like Exhibit 2. I think it really gets the message across, and it shows what really love is instead of just focusing on one word. So I think that Exhibit 2, gets the message more across. So I personally like Exhibit 2.
And actually, I like Exhibit 1 more, just because I feel like it's more, it's a clearer picture. It's less graphic, more photo.
And you are in college and you are a senior, correct? Okay, and then just a couple of more things about this. Regarding the actual inputs, this one, that the graphics that have just come out from this group, loveisrespect.org, is this part of a national campaign? Like, these are now available, it's part of a national campaign, other communities would be using this as...
Yes.
Okay.
Chair Miller, members of the commission, this is definitely part of Break the Cycle's national campaign. You can find these materials on their website, and when they go to other schools, this is what they do distribute.
So if I could just provide a little bit more background, if I may, to the commissioners and our new students. The reason for having two exhibits to show to you is because last month when we were looking at this and we were considering it, graphics were not available and a release date was not available. So we wanted to make sure, because this is very time sensitive, that we came to this meeting with at least one option, and that being the option we designed last year. But now that we have the option of loveisrespect.org, and we know that that's a national outreach, that might also, weigh into some of your thinking. Any comments on that? Anybody want to go ahead? Commissioner Burns, did you have something?
Not really. I'm bothered by both of them, so bothered not in a.
That's not an option. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure either one of them are particularly. I don't know. What do you think, Commissioner Devine?
Whatever you want.
We cannot meld one and two, right? There's no way to put 1 and 2 in.
No, there are pros and cons for each
Exactly,
one.
there really are.
I tend to side with number 2 because it's colorful, and I think kids would like that. I also think love is patient, love is kind, love is trusting. I love all of those, and so that would be my choice. That would be Originally, we had gone with what Break the Cycle would use as their card, because we wanted to make it conform with the program in the schools. But that's not necessary as long as all the information is on the card. So I think the decision is ours to make, which one we choose.
Well, this is Madam Chair.
Commissioner.
This commission-designed palm card, Exhibit 2, front and back. I think what it is there's a lot of hands. There's a lot of space that I thought could be utilized more than 2 great big hands. It just seems like a waste of space there. I think that's what bothers me about number 2. I think that it's nice if we go with our own design because we're unique and we're different, and it's Glendale's, but there's too much space wasted on that, I think.
Ms. Baboumian, given that we designed this, we could make those hands smaller, right, and make the bracelets. No, it says, good point, Commissioner Burns. Make the hands a little bit smaller, perhaps, and make the words that stick out, the bracelets.
Yeah, Chair Miller, members of the commission, we can certainly try to make, I think some of the longer words like supportive is a little bit smaller so it could fit. The card is 2.5 inches by 3 inches. It's 3.5 inches wide and 2.5 inches tall. So certainly we can, shrink the hands or bring the image down a little bit to show the clasped hands and the words. Graphics can do their best to work with the design.
And again, if I may just tail it, again, we're talking design concepts, which we would, of course, leave up to the city staff. But if they were interested in perhaps some of our opinions, one way to maybe get around that is to add more bracelets. I think it speaks to what Commissioner Burns is talking about with too much skin. It really is, and also with what Commissioner Devine's saying, it really is quite great in terms of all the words we're trying to get up there, but and I think the students will back this up, that you could wear a lot more bracelets than all of that on one arm, right? Yeah. So perhaps the students, each of you could weigh in. I don't know that we have to do it this evening, but could weigh in on some more words for us.
Well, I think number 1, we should put listening on there, because that is the Break the Cycle logo, listening, and I think that should be on that.
Anything else? Thank you, Commissioner Devine. Anything else that comes to mind right off the bat before we take a motion on this that you can provide back?
What comes to mind is Commissioner Garsavanian's non-love for palm cards. So we now have, I'm trying to get this into a 2 by 3 inch, right? This is not going to be what it's like. this is going to be 3 inches by 2 inches in a palm. So I'm looking at it, and I really wish we'd been able to see it in a smaller version, in the version that we actually were going to get, because to me this is really, really nice. And we can get lots of bracelets up here, but it is truly not what we're going to see at all when they're printed. So I think we would have liked to have seen the correct size picture. And that would have really given us the idea of what could be put on the palm card. And then when we go over to the back of it, love is not how teeny weeny all these words are going to be. These are going to be
smaller.
These are going to be
Okay.
smaller than those. So
Moving to Commissioner Tash.
We could certainly, well, we're all in agreement that the palm card is important and that we should have a motion to pass that the palm card should be used. The question remains is, should we use Exhibit 1 or Exhibit 2? It seems like Exhibit 2 is going to win out, and I tend to agree that Exhibit 2 seems to be the preferable palm card. However, we are going to have some issues with respect to what Commissioner Burns has brought up. What does Ms. Babunian suggest? Do you think we could come back, or is it too late to come back and have a revised version of Exhibit 2?
Commissioner Tash and members of the commission, staff can work with graphics certainly to take that feedback and try to rework this and present it in an actual real size sample for you at the October meeting. Or if you just let staff move forward with your feedback and design a palm card, that can also
If I may ask you a couple questions about that when I respond, just logistically. October's meeting will be a special meeting. It'll be at a special time. It'll be at a special place. We may have less commissioners available than we have right now. My preference would be that we make a motion and that we go forward. And if this motion doesn't pass, then we're at no difference than where you're asking us to go. That's my request.
what did you say?
If it doesn't pass, we have to come back and look at it. I mean, we can always.
Are there two motions? Just one motion?
There's one motion.
The motion to go ahead with the palm card and the design of the palm card.
I think what you're looking for is, do you want to grant staff the final approval authority, or would you want to retain it with the commission? If you provide it to staff, then she can move forward and finalize it, take your comments into account. But if you'd like to have the final approval authority, then we'll need to bring it back at a later time. Alternatively, you can ask one person to do that.
Or a third option is that I could ask one or two people who are so moved on behalf of this commission to be on to have the final look at that. Like, for example, Commissioner Burns, Vice Chair Burns,
Yes.
would you like to be involved?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are we in a time constraint here that we have to have this by now, tonight?
I don't think so.
I thought that we were in a time constraint, which is why it moved up.
It's the only time constraint is that if the commission would like to present these to the school district in October as part of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, that would be the time constraint.
Correct. So we, again, and we are, that was the discussion last time, that the constraint was all of our domestic violence activities. So what our options we're weighing is that we wait October 3rd, our special meeting, which I only know of 3 commissioners who have confirmed, so it's less than what I'm seeing here. And secondly, that in waiting for that, I just don't understand why we can't have a motion.
Perhaps it might be a good time to utilize one of your student commissioners
Exactly.
along with another commissioner, and then work with staff.
And that would be
Final design.
that would be the option that I would like to look at, Commissioner Burns, given that we're in design, or Vice Chair, given that we're in design situations. We all agree on the concept, and I think if you want to make a motion just on going forward with the palm cards, we can do that and separate them out as 2 motions, and then we can come back and revisit the design concept next month. But to hold off on the entire thing when we have more of a commission here than we're going to next time. It just does not make sense to me.
Well, is anybody on the commission interested in working between now and the next meeting anyway to finalize palm card? Commissioner Burns, are you interested? I don't mind. If you want me to, I'll take on that responsibility, and perhaps one of the ex officio members will join me.
Great.
So
you'll need a motion.
So we need a motion.
The motion will be that the commission will go ahead with the palm card, and specifically with Exhibit 2. The one commissioner member, which would be me, plus an ex officio, will meet with staff and graphic design in order to come up with a design that's has in mind and the goals of the commission and what we discussed today.
Do I have a second? No second.
I'll second that.
And can we do roll call on this, please?
Yes. Vice Chair Burns?
Yes.
Commissioner Devine?
Yes.
Commissioner Tashchin?
Yes.
Chair Miller?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion passes. Thank you.
And just the final question would be, is there a student commissioner who's interested in doing that?
I volunteered, so I will be interested, and we just need
No, the student commissioner.
Student.
Oh, a student official. I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, whoever wants to is fine with me.
I would be willing to volunteer to help you with that.
Okay.
Great.
Sorry.
All right, thank you. Next, so that ends our discussion on domestic violence?
Yes.
Awareness?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you
next
very
item.
much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Commissioners. Next item on the agenda.
At 2 is a discussion regarding urging the Burbank Glendale Pasadena Airport Authority to engage airport employees in human trafficking awareness training. And at A is a resolution urging the Burbank Glendale Pasadena Airport Authority to engage airport employees in human trafficking awareness training. Chair Miller, may I provide a brief report?
Yes, please.
Chair Devine, members of the Commission, before you is a report that includes some information about human trafficking statistics. The FBI, the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, describes human trafficking as an international business, and it generates about $9 billion in profits every year. Human trafficking essentially is the enslavement of human beings. Often it's women and children who are bought, sold, smuggled, and forced into modern-day slavery. According to the State Department, up to 2 million people are trafficked worldwide every year, and sex trafficking in particular is considered the third largest and fastest growing criminal industry in the world. Human trafficking oftentimes includes air travel, which is why airports are slowly starting to engage in training sessions to raise awareness amongst airport employees of human trafficking, its warning signs, and how to respond to this. Recently, U.S. Representative Jackie Spear and the U.S. Department of Homeland Security launched a training session for airport employees at San Francisco International Airport. And this was the first airport in the country to start training employees to recognize human trafficking. The organization that led the training is called Airline Ambassadors International, AAI. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization. They're affiliated with the United Nations. They're recognized by U.S. Congress, and their mission is to provide international relief and development to underprivileged communities worldwide. Essentially, the next step is they're going to be doing a training in San Jose later this year as well. So AAI, they train employees to look for different but small important signs of trafficking. They train employees on how to gather information, what kind of information to gather, and who specifically to report it to. And AAI reported that a couple years ago they did a training and members reported suspected human trafficking on 4 different commercial flights, and they were correct in every case. And one of those cases led to the bust of a trafficking ring in Boston where 82 children were saved. Now this brings us to the Bob Hope Airport, which is the local airport for the Glendale, Pasadena, and Burbank area. It's less than 10 miles from downtown Glendale. It serves the Los Angeles area and includes airlines such as Alaska, JetBlue, Delta Connection, United Express, Southwest, and U.S. Airways. And in 2010, they reported that they had well over 2 million passenger boardings. The airport is owned by the Burbank, Glendale, Pasadena Airport Authority, which is controlled by the governments of the 3 cities in its name. And this is a separate government agency created under a joint powers agreement between the 3 cities for owning and operating the airport. And at this time, staff has presented a possible resolution, should the commission want to move forward, in urging the airport authority to start looking at these types of trainings and engaging airport employees, whether they be they work directly for the airport authority or they work for the different individual airlines, to start engaging in this type of trafficking. And that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Vice Chair Burns?
The group AAI, have we seen their training manual?
We have, Vice Chair Burns, we have not seen their training manual at this time.
And the cost of
In-
training a group of people at the airport?
They've indicated that there is no direct associated cost. They will provide the training for free. They do like to take donations to help cover the cost of their volunteers to come down and provide the training. They're based out of the Bay Area. They have members down here in the LA area and throughout the country, but they're primarily located out of the Bay Area and San Francisco. And at this point, the commission can move forward with a resolution which would just be the commission's desire to see this happening in its neighborhood, and in the future could possibly work with helping organize that or not take part in the organization of any sort of future trainings should they take place.
Commissioner Tashtian?
Yeah, I think it's an important issue, and I didn't realize the severity of it actually until I read your report, Ms. Babunian. And obviously we should support it as much as possible, and I'm for the resolution.
Ms. Babunian, do we know what the Burbank Airport has done so far or regarding this topic?
Chair Miller, I don't believe that they have engaged in any sort of trainings, and just some initial conversations that staff has had with the airport authority staff. It would require them looking into this, seeing if they are interested. You know, what this resolution would do was to bring this to their attention and have, essentially have them look at it and take it into consideration of this is something that they can coordinate. They're interested and they're willing and able to coordinate.
Commissioner Devine?
Don't we have 3 members on this authority, this panel?
Yes.
We have 3, so we would definitely have support for this initiative.
It is made up of representatives from the City of Glendale, City of Burbank, and City of Pasadena, which does include some of our city council members.
So I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead with this resolution and try to get it to City Council.
Second.
All those in favor?
Let me just get a point of clarification. The resolution is directed to the airport authority, so your qualifying remark at the end, I just needed you to clarify that. I think
Before
what
you
you're
make
doing
a
is
motion,
Who's then going to be submitting this? The City Council or
The commission.
The commission.
Mhm,
The commission
directly.
will be presenting this to the airport authority. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
and just before a motion's made, again, the actual resolution is just to raise awareness. We're requesting and we're opening the door to that, and it's nothing more. It's okay. Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We have unanimous. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Baboumian. Next item.
Thank you. At 3 is consideration and discussion regarding the 2013 special focus of the Commission on the Status of Women, and at 8 is a motion providing direction regarding the 2013 special focus. Chair Miller, would you like a brief report on this?
Yes,
item? Each year, the Commission on the Status of Women selects a special focus and develops its programming to reflect this focus. It provides a topical framework to enhance and enrich the standing annual programs as well as special events during the year. Past themes starting in 2007 have included Year of the Glendale Girl, Women's Leadership, Women's Health, Year of the Volunteer, Elevating Women, and this year we're in Celebrating Women and Aging. And consistent with this focus, the Commission has created a set of guidelines that allows various nonprofit organizations and professionals from the City of Glendale to be placed on the agenda for each of the regular meetings of the Commission and to have the opportunity to inform the general public about topics of interest related to the focus for the year. This year, to kick off Celebrating Women and Aging, the Commission had organized a birthday celebration to start off the theme and to bring awareness to the work of the Commission. Historically, the focus for each year has been determined by the Policy and Program Committee. That was several years ago, and for the past few years, the Commission as a whole has been deciding this focus annually, and once the 2013 focus is determined, staff would request additional direction regarding what types of topics you all would like to hear about on a monthly basis, which could be done at a different meeting. And that concludes my report. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Baboumian. So historically, at this point, do I identify as the chair some topics I was thinking about, or do we just go directly to the Commission?
However you would wish to proceed, Chair Miller.
Anybody have a theme that they're so moved by? I was thinking that we might consider as a commission topics somewhat related to the spirit of women and call it that. And that could allow us to address a number of different things that might tie into our biggest platform with the domestic violence. We would also be able to focus on some of the female veterans that are coming home. We would also be able, when we align with some of the topics of our former partners, for example, in the previous report, we have historically in the past collaborated with the Office of Senator Carol Liu, and this might allow us to address more things that are in a platform for women of homelessness and poverty, as well as our speakers that came tonight for oral comments regarding divorce and resources. So I think it allows us a number of options of things that really build up and are meaningful to the spirit of the women. So that was just one topic I was thinking about. Vice Chair Burns, do you have anything? We're sort of on this together, right? Historically, the way they identify it.
Yes, we are. I love the spirit of women because I think that covers everything about women that we could possibly bring in. The word spirit. So I think it's a terrific.
And it would also allow us to set the actual topics at a later date.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I do have one or two suggestions. I'm all for it. I think it's a great theme, spirit of woman. We just need the sub-themes to incorporate in it. That we can discuss later. I know that the 57th session of the Commission on the Status of Women for the United Nations will be holding their meeting on March the 4th to the 15th at the UN. And their theme is elimination and prevention of all forms of violence against women and girls. So perhaps we could be able to incorporate their theme into some of our sub-themes. So I'm all for it, just as long as we could think of some sub-themes, including the domestic violence one you mentioned, Chair Devine, and perhaps others, including gender bias or gender equality would be one that I'd be interested in.
Great. Anyone else? So, without any further comments and without any further suggestions, our options here are to make a motion and go forward on that, or to hold it to the next meeting. What is your preference?
I will make a motion for the spirit of women as the theme for 2013.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
And it's unanimous.
And Chair Miller, members of the commission, based on this discussion, and if commissioners want to also collaborate with Chair Miller and forward any themes, any sub-themes that you all would like to hear about, things that you would be interested in hearing more about, and then staff can work with Chair Miller to bring that to the next meeting.
I think you want those comments coming directly to staff.
Okay.
For Brown Act purposes.
Okay.
I'd also encourage any of our community that is watching, as well as our audience members, to also feel free to submit ideas under the theme that we're looking at and help us build our calendar of what is important to you. Okay, thank you. Next item.
Thank you. At 4 is consideration and discussion of the Commission on the Status of Women's annual responsibilities and assignments, and at 8 is a motion providing direction regarding these annual responsibilities and assignments. Chair Miller, would you like a brief report?
Yes, please.
Chair Miller, members of the Commission, at the June 2004 regular meeting of the CSW, the Commission had established 4 working committees to address the elements of the strategic plan, and this was really at a time when the Commission had just formed and was trying to establish itself. Since then, the Commission's undergone several changes, and at this point, the only standing committee, for the Commission is the Policy and Program Committee. This committee helps accomplish the goals of the strategic aim pertaining to policy and program development in the Commission's 2009 to 14 strategic plan, and this committee would also look at publishing any other reports. 2014 is right around the corner, so this committee would also be looking at the next set of strategic plans, possibly an annual report to update the annual report published by the Commission from 2004 to 2006, which includes a lot of statistics about women in the city of Glendale. So that is the one committee. And then from that, there are also project leads that commissioners can take on. There would be a development project lead, which would be responsible for exploring options for permanent long-term funding sources, developing public and private partnerships to enhance sponsorships and funding opportunities, and explore options for volunteer recruitment. And this could really be taken on by one commissioner, and that commissioner can work with the chair and with other members of the commission to generate ideas and bring them forward to the commission. Then we have the signature programs as identified in the 2009 to 14 strategic plan, and commissioners who would sign up to work on signature program leads would be responsible for helping coordinate and delegate duties related to their programs. They're not expected to work alone, would work with staff and the chair to possibly bring forward new ideas related to these signature programs. In your report are some of these, are the programs as listed in the strategic plan are outlined. There's Money Matters, there's Camp Rosie, Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Domestic Violence Awareness Month, the Hands and Words Are Not for Hurting Project, Ready, Set, Vote, Women at the Table, How to Get Appointed to a City Board Commission, and Girls on the Run. In looking at these, not all these signature programs occur anymore. Some of them, for example, Money Matters, for 2 years had been put on hold, and this last fall the Commission did decide to move forward with a financial literacy series in collaboration with State Senator Carol Liu. Camp Rosie is a very well-established program now. Essentially, it is staff does the fills out grant application, secures funding, and moves forward. But if there is a commissioner who'd like to work to make suggestions or change certain things with Camp Rosie, that would be definitely welcome. For SAM and DVAM, any commissioner who's interested in serving as a project lead to bring forward new ideas for activities coming up. Each of these activities does have a timeline as far as when collaborations and planning starts for them. For Sexual Assault Awareness Month, we start in February, and for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we start in August, but really ideas can be collected and stored at the backs of our minds throughout the year. The Hands and Words Are Not for Hurting project is part of the Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention project that the Commission on an annual basis considers donating money to the school district for the materials. Ready, Set, Vote has to do with partnering with the Glendale Burbank chapter of the League of Women Voters to continue ongoing voter outreach projects. And this really is based on the election calendar and what's going on for that year in elections. Women at the Table, How to Get Appointed to a City Board or Commission, has been on hold for several years now. The system of how commissioners are appointed to boards and commissions has changed since 2009. So this really has been tabled, but again, if there's a commissioner who's interested in really looking at this and considering moving forward with this again, they certainly can. And Girls on the Run is, all of you have been introduced to, is a fitness organization, nonprofit that helps bring self-empowerment to girls while introducing them to running, encouraging them to run, and it's really aimed at elementary and middle school ages. It is recommended that the Commission discuss these various assignments and provide direction, keeping in mind that there is also the Jewels of Glendale, which coming up in the near future, next month or the month after, the Commission will look at who will also lead the Jewels Luncheon and the fundraising efforts for that. That concludes my report. If you have any questions, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baboumian, for that brief report. The thing that I wanted to do any of the commissioners have any comments?
The only thing I would offer is perhaps there might be something new that would be offered because of the Spirit of Women coming up. There might possibly be something that is not listed here that we might want to talk about, might want to think about doing to add to our what we do, because we've dropped a couple of these things. So,
Well,
I think we should think about these signature programs too.
I wanted to ask the staff for some guidance on this, given that this is the first year going into this as being the chair. What I would like to know is, what is of all these, which is the first event coming up for this commission?
Well, at this time, the Chair Miller, members of the Commission, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is next month, the Commission has already moved forward in the planning of that. The next thing that could possibly come up looking at this is if the League is interested in partnering on any sort of voter outreach for the upcoming elections. At this point, we haven't heard from the League of Women Voters yet if they want to partner with the Commission specifically to do voter outreach. If there's a member of the Commission who's interested on working on something for the upcoming elections, certainly that's right around the corner. And then I would say the next thing would be the Hands and Words Are Not for Hurting project is coming in January.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Devine.
On that note, I think if we don't do a forum or something with the League of Women Voters, I think we should at least invite them to be here to speak on the national election, which is coming up in November, and then again in April next year when we have our local elections, because they have a lot of information to give, and they should definitely be here to speak on propositions and other elements of the election.
Do we have, thank you, Commissioner Devine. Do we have any other commissioners who, but either on the Ready, Set, Vote, anyone that is so moved, other than having the League of Women Voters come here and speak to us? Is there anyone that wants to do so?
This was going to be at the end, but right now the Artie Kasakian is holding a class on registration for voting. I went to the session prior to this class. Unfortunately, timing was poor, but this, I believe, the 25th of this month is considered voter registration day, and then it extends for a week. So there's going to be a lot of work on registering voters, and then there'll be several groups in town that will have the Women's Civic League will have a voter debate. Thank you, ma'am. And so I'm assuming that we're going to work a little bit with the League of Women Voters. Yes, no, what?
Vice Chair Burns, it's apparent you are actually involved in attending these, aren't you?
Yes.
And people in the room know that you're the Vice Chair of the Commission. Okay, so that's great. We're involved.
There we are involved.
Anyone else that's interested in getting involved can pick up this flyer that Vice Chair Burns is speaking about. So where we need to go next is the January is the hands and the project. The next one, hands and words are not for hurting. We'd have to get moving on that by January. We also have to make some decision on the jewels. But respectfully, we have October, which we know will be a special meeting, and then we have November, and then we have December.
Yes.
Okay. If there are no other commissioners that want to make comments about this, I might suggest that this has now been put to the agenda so you can see all the things that we're involved in, and you can really collect your thoughts and talk to our other women friends in the community about what really matters, and then perhaps come back at a future meeting and share the direction of where we might go.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Are we all in agreement with that? Do I need to make a motion for that to happen? Okay, then I would like to hold this over. Next item, please, Ms. Baboumian.
You mean to hold this over? I think you want to bring it back at some future date if there's
I want to
additional
bring it back. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Still under 5 business agenda, we move on to B, reports. These are information only. At 1 is the Commission on the Status of Women's 2012 Master Calendar of Events. This is the monthly recurring calendar. If there are any additions, deletions, revisions, staff would be happy to take those at this time.
Yes.
I was watching City Council a couple weeks ago. Well, maybe it was last week, I don't know. But our city clerk, Artie Kasakian, was giving his intros and invocations. Thank you, yeah. And he was talking about Women's Equality Day, and that is August 26th, and I would like to see that on our calendar, along with, we have a lot of other special days for women, acknowledging women, and I think August 26th, Women's Equality Day, should be on there. I'd like to suggest that it be.
Noted. Thank you.
When we're calendaring items like that, when a suggestion comes from a commissioner, does it just go on the calendar, or do we need a motion?
I think unless there's an objection, then we don't. We generally do not calendar community event, other organizational events on the Commission's calendar, but on a day that's a nationally recognized day, if you'd like to include that in the calendar, and there's no objection from the other commissioners, then you could go ahead and put that on there.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that suggestion. Okay. Any more discussion on this item? Okay. Then this item is now closed. Can we move on to the next item on the agenda?
Absolutely. At 2 is the Revenue and Expense Report for the Commission on the Status of Women's Program Budget. Before you, Chair Miller, members of the Commission, is a very brief report just outlining the funds that the Commission has available as of the end of the fiscal year 2011-12, which is June 30th, 2012. As of that date, the Commission has a total of $85,406. This consists of there's two accounts, so to speak. There is the general account, and then Camp Rosie is kept separately for grant purposes when the Commission was formed and they started Camp Rosie. So there's $58,285 in the general CSW account and $27,121 in the Camp Rosie account. And the exhibits are there. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Yes, I'd just like to say I think that's fabulous that we have that amount. It's terrific because we've worked hard for every penny. So I thank all of you out there that have supported us through the years and have made it possible for us to keep our Camp Rosie program going and to also have a general fund in which we can use the money to help organizations and put on projects here in the community.
Very briefly, I was very surprised and pleasantly surprised, to say the least. And what I would respectfully request Ms. Babunian to do is to explore how we can use the $58,285 we have in the general account in order to, I guess, reach out to the community, reach out to organizations and groups that support our cause, and perhaps we could be able to spend some of that money in our community with respect to our goals and our objectives, women's rights and so on and so forth. So perhaps Ms. Babunian could be able to contact, reach out to these organizations that support our goals and come back and perhaps invite these organizations or groups to say, hey, listen, we're here to help. We're a commission here. We're for women's rights. We have certain goals and purposes that we share with you, and how can we help? That's something that I'd like to have you check into, and perhaps at our next meeting give us a report.
Commissioner Devine?
And another suggestion that which we can take up at a later date is the fact that maybe at our Jules Luncheon we can give either another scholarship or a larger scholarship and use this money to make sure that kids, young women that want to go to school and need extra help, that we can provide them with that financial assistance.
And I would like to add on to what Commissioner Tashjian was speaking about, but to also encourage anyone who is up here on this commission to please get with Ms. Babunian and to provide input on the direction of where this commission might go, so that I think many of us are so involved in many groups that we have that knowledge, and if you could work together so that a presentation will come back to all of us. Any further discussion? Okay, and with that, this item is now closed for agenda, or is closed for discussion, so let's move to the next item, please, on the agenda.
At 6 is commission and staff comments.
And who would like to go first? Commissioner Devine?
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. First announcement is the Business Life magazine saluting the 2012 Women Achievers. It's a business and healthcare conference, and if you may learn more about healthcare at this conference. Saluting Women Achievers, dynamic morning workshops. There will be 3 or 4 of those. To purchase tickets, they are $65. The workshops start at 8:30 in the morning, and they go until, I believe, 11:30, and then there's a break, and then at noon there is lunch, and that's when we honor the awardees this year. And among those women, fine women in our community, would be Lena Bezoyan, who is the regional president of the Armenian Relief Society. Did I get that correct, ladies? Yes. So she will be one of the recipients. Lola Abrahamian from our police department, lieutenant, is one of the recipients. Melina Sardar from ARC, who is instrumental in our Camp Rosie program. She teaches the life skills. And Laurel Patrick, who's on our Parks Commission and a very dear friend of mine. So there are a lot of fabulous women getting awards. So if you'd like to go, it's $65 all-inclusive. We will have a table there representing our commission, and I know Pasadena is going to be there as well. If you'd like tickets, you can call 818-240, or reservation 7088, 818-240-7088. Or you can go online to www.itsmyseat.com and get your seat. Also today, I was part of a conference call with the State Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, as it is now called. And just to bring, a lot of times when I'm out in the community, women stop me and ask me, what is the status of the State Commission? So very briefly, number one, they have changed the name to the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. They do have funding for one more year. The State Budget Committee is meeting right now as we speak to come out with the new budget in January, so then we're not quite sure what will happen next year. But I just want to very quickly tell you that it has been restructured. There are different mandates, and there are 6 of them. One is gender equity in the media, educational needs for women and girls, gender in the workplace and employment, health and safety of women and girls, and military women and veterans. They are also going to be required to establish an information center on issues about women, which is kind of like what this commission does. So there's a really great correlation. The new location, if any of you are interested, is at the State Library, which is right next to the Capitol and next to the Research Center. So they're looking to develop strategies to make sure that the legislators know that this commission, the State Commission, is vital to all of women, and we need this voice in our government. So that's the latest on the State Commission on the Status of Women and Girls.
Thank you, Commissioner Devine. Commissioner Burns?
Briefly, I went to a luncheon that was sponsored by the, what was it sponsored by? The Glendale Adventist Medical Center, I think. The Wellness Group.
Or more specifically, the Live Well program.
Thank you.
I know them. I'm the director.
She's the director. And this was terrific. It taught me how to improve my sleep hygiene. And everybody who wants this, trust me, there are 20 things to do and you'll sleep like a baby. So I have it here. And it's extremely valuable information. Anybody who would like it, just call Miss Baboumian, and I'll make sure she has one of these, and that we can get them out to everybody. So other than that, there have been a lot of things happening that I know all of us have been attending, so I will just say that this was a really informative luncheon. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Burns. Commissioner Todd?
Yes, thank you, Chair Merrill. My comments are very brief. I'd like to congratulate and welcome both ex officio members. I'll be working with you, Amy, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and again, hopefully I'll be working with you, Sadin, in an upcoming year. And Ms. Babunia, I would like that brochure that Commissioner Burns pointed out, because I've been having problems sleeping lately.
Pass it over.
And that will be all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any of our students have any comments that you'd like to make?
I'd just like to thank the commission for letting us become part of the board, and we really hope that we can make a difference.
You will.
I would like to thank the commission also for giving me this opportunity. Today I actually got to see what it's like and what we really do, and I have a feeling I'm going to really enjoy it. So thank you.
And we have a feeling we're really going to enjoy you. So welcome to our commission. We're very pleased. We look forward to your input. We specifically also look forward to you bringing back to us what younger women, both in the high school and the college age, find most important and that matters to them, and how we as a commission can serve them. Couple of updates or a couple of announcements that I have. We were informed as commissioners that the Glendale Library is having a screening of the film titled Women Art Revolution, and it'll be shown on Wednesday, September 19th at 7 p.m. So in order to find out more about that, you would again reach out to the Glendale Public Library. Another thing that I did want to announce, because it's happening before we meet again as a commission, is to just inform the public that, are you ready for the next big one? And by that I mean the October is the Great Shakeout month, and the Live Well Senior Program has joined forces with the Office of State Senator Carol Liu and we are going to talk to you about everything you need to know about disaster preparedness and earthquake awareness. So this month we talked about sleeping, and next month we talk about shaking. This is open to everybody in the public, not just members of the Live Well program, as it is a very valuable piece of information. With that, I also wanted to just acknowledge on behalf of this commission, I know that many of us had the opportunity to personally speak with our dear friend Elizabeth Manasarian and her family, and to wish and extend our prayers and condolences at this time. I did just want to take one moment, if I may, before we adjourn, to tell you what an unbelievable woman her mother was, Hermine Berjikian. Yesterday, when Elizabeth spoke about her mother, she identified her as grand. And I'll tell you, Miss Berjikian was a Live Well member in my senior program, and she was grand. She would show up to these luncheons, and it was almost as if she had a following. She came with her own group. I like to call it a posse, so to speak. She came in with her own group, and you could tell that she was the center of that group. We also found out that she was a woman before her time, both in what she did in her own country and then raising the daughters that she had. We all know those daughters, Elizabeth and Peggy, and what they've done in our community, and we find them to be tremendous women. We only hope that as friends on this commission that we can help them during this time and let them know that we recognize their mother, what she meant to this community, and what we believe they will mean to all of us in going forward. And with that, I would like to close tonight's meeting in honor of Miss Hermine Berjikian.
Memory.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
All right, I like